Hi, my name is Laura Lips, and I'm going to be talking today about capital punishment. So, my biggest question in ethics is it ethical to kill another human being, even if they've committed a murder or anything? And I've done lots of research searching for answers. I've got several different opinions, and some of them make sense, some of them I don't agree with. Um, Before I started this research, I was for the death penalty, and because I feel that if somebody killed another human being, then they should be sentenced to death as well, especially if it's a severe killing. So, first, I wanted to learn what capital punishment was. So, capital punishment, also known as the death penalty, is criminal punishment that takes the life of the defendant as the punishment for the defendant's crime. The death penalty can only be imposed on defendants convicted of capital offenses, such as murder, treason, genocide, killing or kidnapping of a congressman, the president, or a Supreme Court justice. A jury must decide whether to impose the death penalty, which I didn't know. So that's pretty interesting. Methods of execution can be legal injection, which is the most popular. Also, the electric chair, gas chamber, hanging, or a firing squad. Some states still use these, believe it or not. Um, Interesting fact is Saudi Arabia, what they do is actually cut off your head. That's how they execute you. That's pretty scary. Um, and then in China, they use a firing squad. Um, and there's different countries do different things, but the most popular is legal injection. So since we're in ethics, I thought I would relate the death penalty, find the opinions of these philosophers. Um, Kant exemplifies a pure retributivism about capital punishment. Murderers must die for their offense. Social consequences are wholly irrelevant, and the basis for linking the death penalty to the crime is the law of retribution. The ancient maximum lex talens is rooted in the principle of uh, equality. I can say that. So that's how Kant basically he's for the death penalty. John Stuart Mill, strongly supports capital punishment for aggressive murder, only if it's aggressive. He rejects various arguments against capital punishment, including the claim that it is incompatible with respect for human life. Eggleston, he says, I'd never spend any time thinking about the death penalty except saying it's not right. Singer, which his was the most interesting to me, because he had a really good point. Singer says, look, if somebody came up with convincing evidence that the death penalty was a uniquely effective deterrent, let's say that for every murderer who was executed, there would be 10 fewer murderers, then I would support it. So right now he doesn't support it because obviously that's not true. It's not really a deterrent. If they're going to murder, they're going to murder, and that doesn't seem to stop people. So that was very interesting also. um, while I was doing my research, I learned so much that made me kind of doubt my previous beliefs of the death penalty. I learned that the majority of people that are on death row have been physically and mentally abused throughout their life. Now, you might think, well, a lot of people have been physically and mentally abused and they don't go out and kill people. But some of these people have been so severely abused, tortured, into the capacity that is so bad that their mental state is not well. Most of the people have mental issues. If they were in a hospital, a mental hospital, and were taken care of and not let out on the streets, then they might, be safer. And, like if there was somebody to make sure they took medications and stuff. But it's really a sad thing. I mean, I don't know the human mind. I've always been interested in why people kill people. Only because, watching TV shows like Criminal Minds and SVU and different shows that I've watched, and movies. One movie in particular, The Cell. If you've never seen that, it's an older movie, but it's a really good movie. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's kind of freaky, but it's good. Um, in The Cell, Jennifer Lopez, she actually plays one of the main characters. She's a psychiatrist, and there's a murderer. They kind of, I don't know if he's in a coma or they put him in a coma or what, but he's dreaming in his coma, and she gets into his mind somehow, which is really interesting. It's a really weird movie. But, anyways, in his mind, she gets in there and she sees all the stuff that's happened throughout his life, horrible stuff. And So, anyways, if you haven't seen the movie, it's a very good movie to see, just so you can understand how tortured some of these people are and what they've went through in their life. I don't know in the mind when you actually snap and you like lose it. Like I don't know what point of torture and abuse and whatever you go through in life that your mind can't handle it. Some people actually, they form different personalities and stuff to try to shield them from the pain they're going through. There's just very interesting things about it. But anyways, so I feel after all the research I've done and my paper, and I wrote a poem, and I learned so much. But at everything I've done, I've changed my opinion, and I think that there's different circumstances that the death penalty is good for. I don't think mental health should be considered definitely the death penalty, because sometimes people, what they've went through, I think that they can still maybe be rehabilitated, maybe possibly. But like for example, teens. There was a study in one of my research papers that I cited, that talks about teens and how most teens can be rehabilitated. Rehabilitated. I can't even say the word. So it depends on the age and the severity of the abuse they went through. But is it really fair? Like if a child is born and they're put into a home that they're constantly abused and mentally abused and physically abused and just sexually abused, whatever, and they grow up that way their whole life and treated horribly, and they go out in the world and that's all they know. And I'm not excusing it. I mean, that's terrible. But is it the child's fault? No. I mean, he's been put into a situation that made him who he is, and that's terrible. So I feel sad, but at the same time, what if it's my biggest question is what if it was your family member? So if I have two children, they're grown now, but if it was one of my kids and somebody murdered them, I mean, I would probably want them to die. Why? Because that kills me inside that somebody killed my child, took them out of my life, especially if it's somebody that they don't know for no apparent reason, just to kill them. That would be my first, as a normal person, we would be upset, and revenge is kind of like how we feel. So I don't know. But if I was on a jury, because a jury makes the decision, and there was a person with mental problems, that maybe was released from a mental hospital because of serious abuse his whole life, and he was off his medications. Maybe he couldn't get his medications, or maybe he just refused to take them. I don't know. But if he went out and killed somebody, I would think twice. Not because, it's still he killed somebody, and that's not right. And we can't have him on the street, obviously. We don't want him to kill anybody else. But there's got to be a system in this world that, society has to be more accountable. I think that, like as a person in society, we have to have sympathy for these situations. And also, like, if you're living in a house and your neighbor, you can hear a kid screaming day after day after day, getting abused. I mean, you need to do something. There's some people that don't do anything. They feel like it's not their business. Well, maybe it isn't your business, or maybe it is. I don't know. But that child needs help. And if that child doesn't get help, who knows what he could grow up to be? And it's horrible to hear those things, or a woman getting abused or anything, or if you see something lately on the subways in New York. I mean, people have been getting raped and nobody says anything because they're scared for themselves. To me, that's very selfish. I feel that you should stand up for people, and it's very important in this day and age that whatever anybody thinks of you or not. um, you can't watch a woman get raped on the subway and do nothing. What kind of man does nothing? What kind of person doesn't say anything? I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of things that maybe we can't help every situation, but we should be able to, you know, help these people more so they don't get to, this mental state of craziness. And there needs to be more federal help, to keep people that are in that state in institutions and not just let them on the streets. And there's just so many things. But capital punishment, um, I would say now, after all the research I've done, I feel that it should only be for, like cruel murder. So what I mean by that is, like if it was an accidental murder, maybe you got in a car accident, I don't think you should be killed for that. But if you cold blooded killed somebody on the street that you didn't know for no reason, I think you should, because that's not right, and we can't allow that. We can't allow that to go on. Is it ethical? Maybe not. Maybe it isn't. But we can't allow that to go on, or everybody could do it. There has to be a consequence. Consequences are very important. So that's what I got out of this. I did my paper. I also did a poem that I put in my journal. And I hope that was okay. Thank you so much.